for the purpose of our contest picks, for the purpose of contests that I'm in, I did put the Niners in at -6.5 as my 5th pick. Do I feel great about it? No. If you're forcing me to pick a side, I would go with San Francisco, even though they're without Debo. It looks like they're going to be out without Trent Williams, which is a big deal. There's some chatter about the home road splits with Brock Purdy. I would just say, yes, the ATS record is not strong on the road. It's great at home. It's perfect at home. But if you really look at the numbers, yes, they're not as good expected, and they're not bad numbers. Like, the rating is still 95. Like, he's still completing over 60% of his passes when he's on the road. Look, the difference between facing a Cleveland defense and facing the Minnesota defense is very, very different. So even without some of their key players, I'm expecting a bit of a bounce back. My focus for this game, though, is not the side. It's, where do you go? Are you going Kittle or are you going Ayuk without Debo and maybe without McCaffrey? History would tell us that Kittle's had some big games when Debo's not on the field. But I'm honed in on Ayuk. I think he is set against this secondary to have a big matchup. So that's what I like the most of everything on the board in this game. I'm looking at Ayuk props.
I honed in on Kittle, so this will be fun. But I just think
Let's
this
go.
is a tough, brutal matchup for the Vikings defensively, even without CMC or a banged up CMC, whatever we're going to get. No Debo. I think it's going to be just tough. And then you've got the whole primetime Kirk narrative. You've got no Justin Jefferson. So defensively for the Vikings and offensively, just a lack of weapons. I think Justin Jefferson was everything to this Vikings team. So I don't know. Props wise, I'm having a hard time figuring out who is going to go off on the Vikings side and the Niners side. I ended up settling on Kittle, but I don't feel great about it. We just had Jason La Canfora on. He talked about a Purdy interception. Of course, he only has one so far this season. That was last week. It's plus 150, so that's kind of intriguing. If you do like what Brian Flores is doing over there, a Kirk interception minus 125. I don't love this game. I might actually be watching baseball. I don't know what's
Yes,
happening.
it's a liar.
Yeah.
You're going to be watching Kirk Cousins. You can't be here and be like, oh, Kirk's the GOAT, and you guys are hating on Kirk, and I love Kirk Cousins, and then you're like, I'm not going to watch it against the San Francisco 49ers. You're going to be watching Cousins. Stop lying.
It is interesting that the public is kind of like torn between you guys. George Kittle to score the first touchdown is plus 850. That's one of the more bet on props per BetMGM. Brandon Ayuk, 99% of the bets are on the over for him to get 71.5 receiving yards at minus 115. So definitely the public is finding a way to kind of walk the tightrope, so to speak, between Kittle and Ayuk. I am not looking at either of them. I'm not really looking at this 49ers offense a whole lot. When Jason La Canfora, who was on in our last segment, was talking about the under for this game, maybe there's a path for that, but I think the bet I probably like the most is Kirk Cousins over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 165. I think he can get there. And I think that's in large part because we don't necessarily trust this Vikings ground game a whole lot. So there's that. It's been atrocious at times. He's been really, really good with play action. And while we do love these Niners linebackers, I wonder if perhaps they bite one too many times. And so that may be also part of the mix. And with TJ Hawkinson, part of the fold, I think this is like, tight end one-on-one matchups where, you loft it or find him wide open over the middle, something like that. And I think he might score a touchdown or two. And so there are a lot of paths where Kirk Cousins can get to at least two, and short passes, long passes, whatever the case may be. I think that's how they score their points and keep this game close.
Oh, it makes me want to vomit. And so did their performance yesterday. Wasn't that just a beautiful thing? Wasn't it a beautiful thing? All the signs were there, and there they are for it. It was over immediately. Public, get the hell out. Most bet team yesterday, Detroit +3. Most bet money line, Detroit +135 at BetMGM. Second most bet side was Buffalo, dead. Second most bet money line last night, Miami plus 125, also dead. We've talked about, especially I'd say over the first, 5 weeks where the public was doing very well. We knew that turn was going to come. Well, it happened, right? It happened. The public got smoked out yesterday. I mean, so that's top of mind for me. I was very intrigued what was going to happen with the game. My concern on the Baltimore side was teams performing outside of Jacksonville. They're the ultimate outlier. How would they perform coming back from the London trip? And we have a few examples early this season with some good teams where they did not perform all that well. Well, that was not the case with the Ravens, guys. Over 500 yards of total offense,
That's crazy.
12.8 yards per pass. 12.8 yards per pass attempt for Lamar. What a day. Almost 400 total yards for him, 4 touchdowns. You could look at the Detroit side and say, oh, Jahmyr Gibbs finally showed up. Amon-Ra St. Brown got hit. It's all garbage time. Okay, fine. For fantasy football, fine. If you want to talk about that, if you bet on the props, cool. But Baltimore dominated every way.
My biggest takeaway, guys, the Bills. What is going on? Slow starts. Thought this was going to be, kind of like a bounce back performance from the offense, and it really wasn't. Very disappointing. And I just looked up, dare I say it, Bills to miss the playoffs, and it's only plus 140, but it's
Yeah.
kind of trending in that direction. I've been really
Yeah.
disappointed. I keep expecting that I'm going to see more from this Bills team, and I'm not. So my biggest takeaway was I am down on the Bills right now. Call it overreaction Monday, or maybe it's for real, but I
It's
don't like
not
what
an
I'm seeing from them.
That's not
No,
overreaction.
it's
This is a few weeks
not in the
now,
slightest.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two weeks of this, and we already knew that the defensive injuries for the Bills would be piling up, and at some point it would come back to haunt them. But I think it's fair to say that I wasn't expecting this against Mac Jones. He was able to exploit all of these injuries of all the people. I mean, we've been talking about him losing his starting gig, and now
Yeah.
he's the one who has exposed the Bills. What in the world is going on? That to me is insane. Like, Mac Jones had a career day against a team that many very smart people picked to get to the Super Bowl. What was it? 10.7% CPOE, or fourth best in his entire career, 56.3% success rate, third best in his entire career. He completed more than 83% of his passes, third best of his career against the Bills. Are you kidding me? I get that this is a divisional game and you're familiar with everybody, but I mean, at some point, Josh Allen has to know coming in, hey, look, this defense is hurting right now through no fault of their own. I've got to take care of things. I've got to step up and make big plays. And he did okay, but it wasn't enough. It was not spectacular. And I think it's safe to say that we should expect spectacular out of Josh Allen. When we're talking about contenders from pretenders, yeah, the Ravens made a case for themselves, and a compelling one. And the Bills, look, maybe it's possible that the AFC East is just not as good as we thought it was. Maybe that division's a little bit weaker than we thought it was. I mean, the Dolphins got smacked in the face by the Eagles, and so that was certainly something we need to talk about at length. But it's also something where this division's very winnable, and the Bills are not making a case for it, Joe.
They're one play away from losing 3 in a row. They're one play away last Sunday night. And you know what? I feel like we're having a repeat of a week ago. And I agree. I've said a lot of the things that you've said. We all agree on that, okay, we knew this was going to happen soon where all these injuries were mounting. But you know what? The schedule is so soft. It's so soft. They got the Giants. How'd the Giants keep it close? Well, they almost won that game. And then, they got the Patriots. It's the worst offense, maybe the worst quarterback going in the league right now. Yeah, it's going to be bad at some point, but they should be fine. No, they weren't. They weren't. A team that Josh Allen has dominated, outplayed by Mac Jones. The last 3 games, in the first 3 quarters, the Bills are averaging 5.7 points per game. 5.7 points per game. These are teams that they should be smashing. We talk about our priors a lot. We're entering week 8. I think it's time to ditch our priors on the Bills. Okay, how do I see this one playing out? It ends tonight. Nola has been impeccable these playoffs. 3 games. He has a 0.96 ERA, a 1.70 FIP. He's been awesome. 19 strikeouts, 2 walks. Great history against Arizona. 18 strikeouts, 2 walks. Against this particular lineup, they average an exit velocity of 83 miles per hour against him. I'm just going positive on the Phillies. And since it's minus 185, I'll go first 5. I'll lay the half a run with the Phillies. And that's about even money. No, it's a little bit of juice. Minus 125, but I'm still okay with that. Minus a half run first 5. I'm good with that.
I don't hate that.
Yep, that's what I have too, because you look at Nola has just been that dude, and I love the Phillies at home. Even though you look at his ERA might not be as good as Kelly's, his advanced metrics are. So I love the Phillies first 5 run line as well.